Ryan Bingham. He's got a brand new record, Fear and Saturday Night, and I think it's the first time I get to say this. It's a really fun record.
Thank you very much.
You made like a fun record. As fun as a Ryan Bingham record can be, it's a fun record. I've heard you talk about it a little bit, like calling it, I think you used the word lighter. It's a lighter record, which in comparison to some of the others, I guess that's the case. But I also saw that, for any style of country, whatever you want to call yours, Americana, roots, whatever it is, that's kind of a dangerous word. When you're talking about like romance and lightness and everything, like that could be kind of dangerous for a country record, right?
I don't know. I've always just kind of written about things that have affected me, in my life as I'm kind of moving through each chapter of it. So I really don't try to think about it too much,
Yeah.
I just kind of, just try to be honest with what I'm writing about and try to write about stuff that's actually happened to me or about things that I've actually gone through. I think singing those songs every night, I have to feel it every night to be able to perform those songs every night and really mean it. And I've always thought, how do you expect people to believe what you're saying if you don't believe it yourself? So I kind of approach it like that.
That means the bad and the good.
Yeah.
Like you've got to come along with me.
Can't sugarcoat it all the time. Life has its ups and downs, and everybody has them. It's like being hopeful and optimistic, but not, ignoring the harsher side of reality as well.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say sugarcoating because it's almost like the opposite for you. Like we've got to know, and I'm not trying to make you out to be the Morrissey of country music by any means, this. But there's always been. I mean, you've got a song called Depression, and so we get to this one. Then again, I should back up. The album starts out with Nobody Knows My Trouble. Is that it? Is that the name? Nobody Knows My Trouble. So it's not a completely. It's not like you just get off going, big smile and here we go. You talk about life and everything, though, and I guess that's what you've got to do. You've got to get out there and live. You've got to get out there and live between records. I mean, I've heard you talk about your writing process. Is that how it works? Like, you don't just sit down and start hammering out an idea. Like, you've got to take that time and figure out what your life is going to be. Is that right?
Yeah, or just, I don't know, just having the time to have those experiences, to get out on the road and travel and develop those kind of stories as you go. I mean, that's just the way I've always kind of gone about it, or the way it's really kind of come natural to me is just, getting out on the road for 6 months or a year or so and then going home and writing about what happened out there. So.
But it's not exactly road records that you write. Like, I never get that sense. Like, some bands will get out there and their life becomes the road, so that's kind of what you get from a record. But I don't get road records from you. How do you separate that?
Well, like, I say, like, I go out, on the road to just kind of gather thoughts and have experiences, but a lot of it's just really having the time to kind of contemplate your life and think about things and not really living each moment, writing it down or living through videotaping every moment and, all of that stuff or recording it. It's just kind of try to give myself some space and some time to just think about stuff, and that's more, I guess, what it's about than anything is just having that time to reflect on all the stuff that's going on.
It almost seems dangerous being stuck in your head like that.
It is. I've always been like that, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always just kind of, I don't know. I zone out a lot, I don't know why it is. I've just always kind of been that type of person.
Yeah. Listening to way that you do get to see the country and the people around the country, on the other side of things, I look at the news and everything is so divided.
Yeah.
It's a civil war, basically out there. Do you get that sense, like taking these instances, city by city, person by person? Do you get a feeling of any of that stuff?
Oh, big time, yeah. It's you're exposed to so much so fast every day. You wake up and you're in a different town, a different state, a different country, and you see stuff that's happening on the news, and a lot of time you're in the city that it's happening, and so you wake up and kind of see it firsthand, or you talk to people that are there and you hear these stories of what people are actually going through on the scene, and you're right, it's very divided out there. It's split in so many ways, and I think lately more than any other time in my life, I've really been conscious about songs that really try to bring people together more than divide them, especially if you're talking about social issues or things like that. There's a really fine line to where, are you trying to just engage conversation about a topic, or are you really kind of splitting people up and just preaching to your own choir, people who believe in the same thing you do? So It's something that I think about a lot. Of
So how
really
do you do that? Like what? Like if you took like whatever the issue is, and you know we don't have to get anything specific on that, but you know, when you have one of those hot button issues, how do you find the part that brings them together without preaching to your own choir or against? You know.
You know, I don't know. I think you just have to have respect for other people and for other people's beliefs and things like that, you know. And
what a concept.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, just that part of it, and try to put yourself in other people's shoes as well that might live in that area that's happening, or, you know, whatever. So it's just, you know, trying to bring about a conversation about a thing, but finding some common ground, you know, that people can stand on no matter, you know, what side of the coin you're on.
Yeah.
So.
Does this have anything to do with fear in the title?
It does, you know, kind of what you're talking about, how, you know, and it feels like these days that everybody's so divided and there's so much fear based, especially in the media and things like that. It's like, you know, you talk to people in little towns where we play, and, you know, they've never been outside of their county line, you know, which nothing against that, but
it closes you off in a mentality, right? Yeah.
You know, they're afraid to walk out of the front door. You know, they're afraid of, you know, everything. Right. You know, and so that was kind of part of that record. It was like, you know, yeah, there's fear, but there's also Saturday night.
Sure.
So, you know, it's at what point do you get to where you're like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna just go out and face the day and face the wolf or whatever it's gonna dish out at me, and see what happens. You know?
And 99% of the time, you're just going to be fine and have a good time.
And you're going to have a really good time. Yeah.
There is one song, and I guess it was probably the Rolling Stone interview I heard you talking about with Gunfightin' Man, which is not a political song, but there is some sort of, with the gun control issues and everything, especially now it's even hotter. Does that speak to any of that whatsoever, or is that, I don't know, I was having trouble trying to figure out if there was a sense of a message in that song other than, you know, an old cowboy song, you know,
that's,
which is fine.
That's one song that really it is. It's kind of just. I've always been a really big fan of old Western movies and the stuff like that, and the big fan of like Marty Robbins and all of that stuff, and the gunfighters ballads and things like that. So that's really where that song came from, is just kind of a little cowboy song. It really didn't have any notions of
no agenda.
No agenda, yeah.
Not that it needed to.
Yeah.
Like I said, but it's one of those times where you know, you can start looking for things in songs that aren't there, especially. You know.
But then again, that's, you know, I guess an example of songs that, you know, can touch on certain issues that don't really have an agenda, that don't, you know, kind of pit one side against the other. It's just a topic about a story, about something that happens, and, you know, if people can relate to that in their own way, and, you know, even if I wrote the song, you know, to be about something 100 years ago, it can still apply today in some ways. So that's, I guess, you know, an example of how that stuff works.
Yeah. Although there is one song on there that I do take issue with, and that's radio, coming from a guy who works in radio.
Well, you know, it doesn't have anything to do with the radio.
No, it doesn't. It's nicely cloaked. Although I can see it as like, man, there's so much bad radio in this country that would make you, as a touring musician, you know, trying to find a good station in a town, it's going to be hard.
It is, man. It's tough.
Now it is a nicely veiled song, but you know, to be the guy who has to play that song on the radio and just be like, it's fine.
All right.
He likes it. I love this record. You know, I would say it's your best record so far.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you talking to me today, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
Fear and Saturday Night. It's a pleasure. All right.